Welcome back to Horror Movies.
Today, I will be showing you an American horror thriller film from 2020 titled The Boy Behind the Door. Spoilers ahead. Watch out and take care. The movie begins with a car driving down a country road. After the car stops in front of a large house, it is revealed that the car's owner has kidnapped two boys and kept them in his trunk. The boys cry and plead with the man to let them go in a muffled voice, but the man drags one of the boys out, leaving the other boy in the trunk. The movie then flashes back to 6 hours earlier. The same boys, who are revealed to be best friends Kevin O'Connor and Bobby Green, are playing in the woods after returning from their baseball practice. Baby Kevin says that he can't wait to be older and move to a place where everything's different and the sun is always shining like Florida. Bobby approves of the plan, and Kevin asks his buddy to promise that he won't go without him. Bobby assures him that he will never leave without him because they are friends till the end. Afterwards, the boys play catch and throw. Bobby throws the ball quite far and Kevin goes down the hill to fetch it. However, when Kevin doesn't return for a really long time, Bobby goes to check up on him. Bobby finds the ball, and when he picks it up, someone grabs him behind, knocking his head on a tree. The movie then cuts to the present. Bobby is still trapped in the trunk of the car from earlier in the movie outside the same house. After managing to free his hand and arms, he calls out for help. However, when his calls go unanswered, he violently kicks and punches the trunk's door until it opens. Bobby crawls out the trunk and breathes a sigh of relief. After collecting his breath, the boy sneaks outside the garage and proceeds to run away, but he suddenly hears his friend Kevin's cries for help from inside the house and stops. Bobby remembers the promise he made to his buddy and runs back towards the house to help Kevin. He quietly sneaks into the house and notices the kidnapper drinking beer and watching TV. Bobby tries to quietly head upstairs to look for his friend, but suddenly someone knocks on the man's door, forcing Bobby to hide. Bobby notices the kidnapper taking a wad of cash from the man outside and giving him a watch that is counting down an hour in return. The kidnapper then leaves in his van, leaving the house to the man, who then heads upstairs to visit Kevin in the attic. He asks Kevin to stop crying. Meanwhile, Bobby quietly goes upstairs and looks for Kevin. He hears Kevin's voice coming from a vent partially covered by a bookshelf inside one of the rooms. Bobby moves the shelf and sticks his ears close to the vent. He quickly ascertains that Kevin is with the man, who yells at him to stop crying. The man's loud voice startles Bobby, and he inadvertently knocks a paperweight from the bookshelf. Noticing the commotion, the man quickly rushes outside to inspect, forcing Bobby to hide. When the man goes downstairs to check, Bobby tries to free Kevin from the locked attic, but without success. When he turns around, Bobby notices the man standing in the hallway. Scared, Bobby runs back into the same room and hides in the closet. The man follows him inside, and when he opens the closet, Bobby strikes him with a stick and runs downstairs. However, Bobby finds himself locked in the house, and the man quickly gets up and corners Bobby in the kitchen. Refusing to give up, Bobby throws a jug of hot water over the man's face before arming himself with a knife, threatening to stab him. The man tries to snatch the knife from him but ends up slicing open his hand. Enraged, the man tries to lunge at Bobby, but only to end up tripping on the wet floor and knocking himself out. Bobby tries to check up on him, and the man suddenly gets up, inadvertently getting himself stabbed in the stomach in the process. Poor baby is traumatized by the ordeal and apologizes to the man for finishing him off. After gathering himself, Bobby again goes upstairs and talks to Kevin through the vent. He asks Kevin to come to the door, but Kevin reveals that he has been chained up. Bobby tells him not to worry and starts looking for the keys. He returns back to the man's body and takes out the keys from his pocket. He tries to open the attic with the keys, but they don't work, so Bobby decides to take the man's car to bring help. The baby manages to start the car, but he doesn't know how to drive it, and he ends up losing control of the car. The car starts rolling down the slope, and Bobby is forced to jump out of the car to save himself. Bobby then returns back inside and looks for keys in the storeroom. He comes across a dusty old trunk, inside which he finds children's clothes splattered with blood. He also finds an old school rotary telephone and rushes upstairs with it. He asks for Kevin's help, and the latter suggests him to find the plug where the telephone fits. Bobby grabs the telephone's wire from the dusty chest and frantically looks for the telephone's plug. He eventually locates it next to the TV, and fortunately it works. Suddenly, the watch in the man's wrist starts going off, but Bobby ignores it and calls 911. As he briefs the 911 operator about his situation, a vehicle arrives outside. Meanwhile, Kevin breaks his fingernail trying to open the ventilation grate. Afraid, Bobby hangs up the call and takes cover. The kidnapper has returned, and he goes upstairs to check up on Kevin. Using the opportunity, Bobby returns to the kitchen and drags the creep's body outside. He then cleans up the blood in the kitchen to hide his presence. When the kidnapper returns to the kitchen, Bobby heads upstairs with a knife but only for the former to follow him shortly after. Bobby quickly hides under a bed, witnessing the kidnapper putting the cash the creep gave him in a hidden safe. After the kidnapper heads into the shower, Bobby opens the safe, inside which he discovers cash, another key, and nude photos of other children. Bobby tries to open the attic with a new key but it doesn't work. Frustrated, he tries picking the lock with a knife but he ends up slicing his hand and unknowingly leaving a smear of blood on the door. Bobby again hides under the kidnapper's bed, and when the kidnapper comes out of the shower, he notices the blood and realizes that Bobby is in the house. The kidnapper quickly opens the attic and seemingly knocks Kevin out. Bobby also realizes that he has been outed and he hides in the shower. However, the kidnapper locates him and tries to chop his way into the bathroom with an axe. Frightened, Bobby breaks into tears and pleads with the kidnapper to go away. However, after making a big enough hole on the door, the kidnapper tries to unlock the door but Bobby slices his hand with a nail file, forcing the kidnapper to pull his hand away. The police also arrive outside and Bobby tries to get their attention. The kidnapper locks Bobby in the bathroom and turns the TV volume all the way up to block out Bobby's screams before answering the door. Lo and behold, the kidnapper is revealed to be a woman. She introduces herself as Mrs. Burton to the police officer, who asks her about the distress call. Mrs. Burton claims to be alone and denies knowing anything about the kidnapping, but the policeman notices the cut on her hand and asks to see her ID. Mrs. Burton goes back inside to grab her ID, but when she doesn't return, the officer goes inside and discovers Bobby. However, before the officer could help Bobby, he is struck in the chest with an axe. Bobby immediately runs back upstairs and Mrs. Burton follows him. She knocks down the shower door with the axe, suspecting that he is hiding inside, but in vain. Annoyed, she pulls out the policeman's gun and returns downstairs. She finally notices the creep's body and follows Bobby down to the basement. While looking for him, she explains that she expected him to suffocate in the trunk. She tells him that since Kevin clearly means so much to him, she is willing to trade Kevin for him to her customers. Bobby suddenly appears and attacks her. As she reels from the strike, Bobby handcuffs her to a pipe and steals her keys. After collecting herself, the kidnapper tries to shoot Bobby with her free hand. She manages to shoot him in the leg, but he is able to slowly make it upstairs. Bobby is finally able to unlock the door. He finds Kevin passed out in the attic with a shock collar around his neck. It seems the kidnapper tied the collar around his neck after she learned about Bobby's presence. When Bobby wakes him up, Kevin recoils in horror, mistaking Bobby for the kidnapper. Bobby comforts him and frees him using the key he found in the safe with the pictures. The boys make their way back downstairs, but Kevin is halted by a shock collar. Bobby asks Kevin to stand still before running back to the basement to look for a tool to free him. However, in the basement, Bobby finds a pruning shears, but the kidnapper grabs Bobby's leg and sticks her finger in his wound. Bobby screams in excruciating pain and he is forced to free himself by cutting her finger off with the pruning shears. However, Bobby becomes too weak to make it back upstairs and he sits by the garage outside, crying in pain. Kevin hears Bobby's screams and sees him passing out. Worried, Kevin fights his way down to Bobby, suffering multiple shocks. He removes the collar using the pruning shears and tends to Bobby, who tells him to leave. However, Kevin refuses, and helps Bobby to the officer's car. He calls for help using the radio, finds a taser and first aid kit and treats Bobby's leg. Meanwhile, the kidnapper also frees herself from the basement, finds the boys. Infuriated at Bobby for chopping her finger, the kidnapper drags him outside and proceeds to finish the baby with the axe, but before she could go through, Kevin shocks her with the officer's taser. The boys run off to the woods and the kidnapper soon follows. She eventually corners them and is about to execute them when a police officer shoots her dead. Kevin and Bobby receive medical treatment and are taken home. Some months later, the pair is later shown on a beach in Florida, where they said they wanted to go. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.